menggerakkan kita melangkah penuh semangat, menjelajahi berbagai kesempatan, mewujudkan berjuta impian. Pertamina percaya semangat kamu untuk melesat lebih cepat harus tetap selaras dengan lestarinya masa depan bumi. Dengan berbagai inisiatif transisi energi, Pertamina menyediakan energi bersih ramah lingkungan dari berbagai sumber lokal yang melimpah. Hangatnya sinar matahari menghasilkan energi rendah emisi. Melimpahnya panas bumi menyalakan kehidupan di setiap lini, memenuhi kebutuhan energi dengan menekan emisi. Menjaga keanekaragaman hayati, serta melindungi hijaunya bumi. Ayo bergerak raih tujuan bersama. Menjaga lestarinya alam, mendukung keberlanjutan. Demi masa depan bumi satu-satunya, tempat tinggal kita semua. Pertamina, energizing sustainable future, energizing you.
Pendalaman dengan research dengan universitas sehingga seluruh stakeholder terkait dengan electric vehicle itu sudah dilibatkan.
Kita berharap undangan riset komprehensif ini mampu menjadi salah satu model untuk mempercepat hilirisasi apa yang diteliti dan langsung bisa dimanfaatkan oleh industri.
Menggunakan alat voltmeter dan ampermeter sehingga dari kedua alat ini konsumsi energi yang diperlukan untuk kendaraan listrik dapat diukur dengan presisi.
Boros-borosnya saya tetap
irit ya.
Ya.
Yang kita lakukan itu pengujian pada dyno-test, ya dyno-test, pengujian performance dan emisi, ya. Terus kemudian kita ikuti dengan pengujian jalan.
Cascadian Fuel Cell Solutions provide services that is capable of meeting the needs of telecommunication providers during power outages. The fuel cells are modified to meet all requirements and to be field-proven. It transforms the chemical energy to electricity by electrochemical reaction. This mechanism is called polymer electrolyte fuel cell. The services provided by Cascadian include refueling, maintenance, and part changing. Designed for telecommunication-based stations, Cascadian methanol fuel cell is powerful and easy to integrate. In general, there are two types of fuel cells, the one that uses hydrogen and the one that uses methanol or methanol fuel cell. The methanol fuel cell is the one currently being used by Cascadian for the ease of procuring and transporting the fuel, an advantage that is compatible with the needs required on the field. There are three blocks comprising a fuel cell. The first block is the fuel system, the second is the reformer, and the third is the power generation. The fuel tank, located at the bottom, has a capacity of storing 225 liters of fuel. The reformer, or also known as the fuel processing module, refines the methanol into pure hydrogen. The power generating block has a unit that generates power called a stack, in which the electrochemical reaction also takes place. In addition, this methanol fuel cell also has an LCD monitor. Cascadian fuel cell begins its power generation process by heating the fuel in the burner or fuel processing module. The heated and vaporized methanol is then reformed and purified to become hydrogen. The hydrogen is then supplied to the stack for an electrochemical reaction, which then produces electricity. During the power generation process, vaporized water is released through the fan from the back of the unit. The generated electricity for use is 24 volt or minus 48 volt. If the electricity used is 2 kilowatts, for example, the power can be used for 100 hours or equal to 4 days. For backup solutions, fuel cell has a lot of advantages compared to traditional lead-acid batteries. From the weight perspective, for example, for the same level of backup, traditional lead batteries can weigh up to 5 tons compared to only 0.5 tons for fuel cell. In addition to this, in backup mode, fuel cell can work for 50 straight hours. A fuel cell has also many advantages compared to diesel generators. One diesel generator generates 68 decibel of noise, whereas fuel cell is extremely quiet, generating only 41 decibel of noise. It is at the same noise level of a quiet residential street. Another fuel cell advantage is that it has fewer moving parts, making it more reliable and resilient to breakdowns. A fuel cell is also environmentally friendly. In addition to being environmentally friendly, the provided Cascadian fuel cell solution also fully complies to all regulations required by electric power facilities. Another thing from Cascadian fuel cell is that fuel cells are also easy to operate and do not require workers specialized for power utility law. Methanol used for fuel is considered safe substance and therefore can be transported using regular methods, which is very crucial in supplying the fuel to the sites. There are also no special restrictions considering the storing of the fuel. The fuel cell system also has an innovative, inbuilt preventive maintenance function to avoid any disruptions. This function can be initiated manually. A self-diagnostic function is also a key feature that users can run to troubleshoot possible problems when performing regular maintenance. Until now, Cascadian has deployed over 800 fuel cells across Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Being the only one providing the service and deploying the fuel cells, We are confident to gain more and more customers and increase the use of fuel cells in Indonesia. In addition to this, our strong and reliable team in behind all the achievements is another key to success.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Our session is about to begin. Please turn on your camera and turn off your mic. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our fourth eTalks webinar series in Green Energy and Advanced Materials. Today, 7th, 2022. It's such a pleasure for me, Dewi, I can be your host today. I would like to greet, firstly, Chairman of Research Organization, Energy and Manufacture National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu, President of Indonesia Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Energy, Prof. Eni Alistiani Dewi, our distinguished speaker, Dr. Guadalupe Ramos Sanchez, former President of Mexican Hydrogen, Prof. Siti Karton Komarudin, Director of Fuel Cell Institute, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, our moderator and all participants. This webinar is held by collaboration of Indonesia Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Energy and National Research and Innovation Agency, especially Research Group Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Materials from Research Center of Advanced Materials. Participants can join online via Zoom meeting and also YouTube streaming, as mentioned in our website and Instagram platform. This webinar is fully supported by PT Pertamina, PT Toyota Motor Manufacturing Indonesia, PT Cascadian, PT ITS Science Indonesia, PT Dynatech, PT Era Mitra Perdana, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and also Wirral. Today's webinar will present by two experts from abroad, Mexico and Malaysia, and we will learn a lot about their updates used in fuel cell and hydrogen technology and also hydrogen roadmap. At first, please allow me to ask all participants to sing National Anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the opening session. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Hasnan Abimanyu as Chairman of Research Organization, Energy and Manufacturing. Dr. Hasnan, time is yours.
Thank you very much, MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished speakers, Professor Dr. Siti Khartoum Komarudin, and also Dr. Guadalupe Ramos Sanchez, also distinguished President of IFHE, Indonesia Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Energy, Professor Enia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, talking about hydrogen is very interesting because hydrogen is the lightest element, but the most abundant chemical in the universe. It is at 75% of the total mass of the element in universe, or is about 90% of the total number of atoms in the universe, except the black hole and so on, the black material. And the hydrogen is also colorless, odorless, tasteless, non-toxic, but highly combustible. So if you remembering that the Hindenburg airship catastrophe in 1937 in Germany. So the balloon consists of the hydrogen gas. The flame or the crash is a very, very catastrophic, but the injured people is less. So you can imagine if that happened in the hydrocarbon fuel. So that's like a jet plane or something else, yeah, with the fuel of hydrocarbon. So the hydrogen flammable, highly flammable, but less catastrophic cause. Yeah. So this webinar will talk about hydrogen, and the speakers will share their roadmap or activities in their countries themselves, yeah, from Malaysia or from Mexico, also Indonesia, by Professor Enia. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the hydrogen can be found in many phases, like gaseous, liquid, solid phase, or slush phase, and also metallic and plasma phase. So there is abundant topics for research according to the hydrogen generation and also storage. So we can create a proposal for research proposal for this theme in hydrogen. So hydrogen generation and also hydrogen storage. This like drawback or challenges in hydrogen utilization as the energy carrier or energy use. So how to create the hydrogen safely and also massively, and how to storage the hydrogen that can be useful in the daily life. So because the hydrogen is not compressible, so we should store the hydrogen in different kind of storage not like an solid fuel or a liquid fuel. We can storage them in the simple way, but the hydrogen is not so simple. So, ladies and gentlemen, webinars and speakers. So I hope with this webinar we can share every activities and every experience in every countries of the speakers from the Malaysia and also Mexico and Indonesia. So with this webinar, I hope we can discuss about many things about hydrogen in every countries. And I hope with this webinar also we can create a collaboration, research collaboration in hydrogen and also fuel cell in the next future. So I appreciate the Indonesian Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Energy Association for this event. And let's start the discussion and also webinar in the few minutes and discussion about. I hope that the conclusions of this webinar can share to the stakeholders, to the sponsors, and also for to the government each countries. Thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hasnan. Before we continue to the next session, I would like to ask Dr. Hasnan, all speakers and all participants to turn on the camera for take photo group. And I ask help for organizing committee to take the picture. Just be ready with your best pose, and I will count. Please, committee to take the picture. Start with the first page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then next page. 1, 2, 3. The next page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you very much. Now we are in the main session of our webinar. It will be presentation and also discussion, and it will be guided by our moderator, Dr. Oka Pradipta Adjasa from Research Center for Advanced Material, GRIN. So Dr. Oka, time is yours.
Thank you, Dewi. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all the participants. And good evening to Dr. Ramos Sanchez. Also, good morning for Professor Siti Khatam Komarudin. This is the fourth e-talks that we have right now, and the topic is green energy and advanced materials. And we are lucky to have two distinguished scientists with us. this morning. So for the first session, I would like to invite Dr. Guadalupe Ramos Sanchez. He is a former president of Mexican Hydrogen Society. He will give us talk about progress of fuel cells and hydrogen in Mexico. Before we start, I would like to inform that the participant can participate in this discussion by asking the speakers. Maybe you can write down your question in the chat column in Zoom or in YouTube. Dr. Sanchez, good evening. Are you ready?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I'm ready.
The time, we allocate the time about like 1 hour. So take your time, no rush. You ready? Time is yours, please.
Okay. I would like to start first thanking Dr. Professor Enrique Listiani for the invitation to this webinar. Also, thank you, Professor Hasnan Abinanyu for the presentation, and Dr. Siti Khaton for being here along my presentation. Thank you all of you for being here. I will try to do my best to show what we are doing in the Mexican Hydrogen Society, and I'm going through several topics, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. So this Mexican Hydrogen Society was founded in 1999. I think it is one of the oldest hydrogen societies, at least in the Americas. We are, I think we are very similar in size than Indonesia. We have more than 200 academic associates right now, and we have been organizing 22 years of conference within Mexico. We also have this network of collaborations within Mexico and with private companies and other countries that make us a little bit happy because we have this network that makes us grow a little bit. What we do is to lobbying government in Mexico, trying to get funding for research activities and also for dissemination of science and technology related to hydrogen. We are partners of the International Association for Hydrogen Energy and very active in the International Journal of Hydrogen Energy. These are our partners in Mexico. Most of them are universities and higher education institutions and research institutions all around Mexico, but also we are partnering with some companies. Some of them are local companies, but also they are international. And we are also partnering with some governments, local governments, and hopefully the federal government in Hawaii. We are located in all Mexico, from south to north to the west to the east. These are our main research institutions, and this is very important because 10 years ago, most of the research was located in Mexico City, in Mexico Center, around here. But now we are very happy to have this extension all around Mexico. Sorry, let me show you my pointer. Here it is. Sorry. Okay. Well, what we do is mostly what we do is give assessment. Maybe you have some project, we can advise you on the feasibility of that project. We organize specialized training programs for young people, for students, also for companies. We have a human resources database that is intended for companies as well for students to reach jobs that and companies that they can work for, and also this access to specialized equipment. For example, if you have some project but you don't have some specialized equipment, we can give you access through collaboration with several institutions. What we do, you can see in this chart, most of the topics that we are working on, you can see that we are working on smart and functional materials, a lot of materials. Also, we are working a lot with fuel cells, all types of fuel cells, polymeric exchange membrane fuel cells, biofuel cells, high temperature fuel cells. Also for hydrogen storage, we are also working a lot on hydrogen production by many means, bio, photo, thermal, electrolyzers. All those are our topics, and you can see that most of them are related to basic science. You can see in this chart that most of the research that we are doing, like in the local universities, is basic science. But we are also doing applied research. I met to the formulation, to concept proofs, validation of components, validation of systems, technology demonstrations, and full functional applications. I would say that half of the research in Mexico in hydrogen is related to basic science, and the other half is related to applied science. The experience that we have had in academia is this. We started in 1999, 22 years ago, and now we have 22 Congress. Some of them were virtual, some of them were hybrid. And during this time, we have been very active with the International Journal of Hydrogen Energy with 11 special issues. We have also working in this conference, Hypothesis and IPE. And what is very important for us is that during this time, we have been working in these technical workshops and specialized courses. For us, for this association, it is very important because, as I told you before, in the past, hydrogen research was very focused on Mexico City, just in Mexico City. And with these technical workshops and these specialized courses, we have been able to reach all Mexico in all parts of Mexico. That makes us very, very, very happy. This is the participation of the states, Mexico, in our conference and in our association. Some of the states that are in white, like this and this, they haven't participated, never. And also some countries that are very common in our conference, of course, North American, United States and Canada, and South America, Brazil, Argentina are very common in our conferences, and not very common, but Europe and sometimes Africa was present in our conferences. And very recently, Dr. Enilla Listiani participated in one of our conferences, so we take Indonesia as one of our collaborators by now. What we do is, as I told you, is a production of hydrogen, especially by wastes. We are very interested in using every waste that we have to transform it in hydrogen. We also work in direct hydrogen production by photochemical methods, especially in the formulation of new electrodes, and electrolysis, of course, for the formulation and design of new electrodes is a very active area in our association. Also, we have this integration of components. Membrane electrode assembly optimization is one of the main topics that we are working on, and we are very happy to have very good institutions that have a lot of expertise doing membrane electrode assemblies. Of course, we also do modeling that I'm going to talk a little bit more about later, and in the implementation on the control and simulation of renewable sources that are capable to show the real implementation of fuel cells and electrolyzers, hydrogen productions, and coupling with renewable energy. So this is our experience in technology development. Some of the institutions that are listed here have been working on the design of buses, some small cars and go-karts, all of them fuel made in Mexico, and with the experience of fabricating, of doing and designing the fuel cell that is in these cars. This is one of the main expertise hours of our institutions, the integration of renewables, and also the fabrication of all design and fabrication of all components, bipolar plates with the design of the flow pattern here, fabrication of membrane electrode assemblies, and fuel cells. Just fuel cells or all the equipment around the balance of plant. And also, as I told you, components and materials design is one of the main topics of our institutions. I want to show you a little bit more about these two projects. One of this institution of electricity in Mexico City. That is one of the projects that was very important was the design and testing of this system for personal transportation within a company. And it was a monorail transportation that was powered by fuel cells due to the lack of electricity from the electricity network in there. So it was very nice to have this fuel cell transportation system. With it is a small one, but it is very functional. Also, I want to show you these 250 kilowatt fuel cell power plants that are fuel equipped. These with all the cooling and pressure and temperature systems that make them very functional and ready to work. All of them full made in Mexico with people in Mexico and materials in Mexico, and all the membrane electrode assemblies made in Mexico. All of them ready to be used. The other project that I want to show is this that is was done in the National Polytechnic Institute. That is a very fully functional 100% renewable home household that is powered by these solar panels, and inside there is an electrolyzer that transforms this electricity totally in hydrogen, and all the appliances and lights and night lights are powered by a fuel cell within this household. That is one of the main projects that we want to explore in places where there is no electricity available. And in Mexico, although it's a very big country, we have like 1% of people having no electricity in their homes. That it represents like 1 million people in Mexico. Also, these oxy-hydrogen reactors for the introduction of hydrogen in the internal combustion engines that work very well. And now the design of burners, modeling and testing of burners, that is one of the main applications in Mexico for the next generation of hydrogen that is going to be used in the power plants for electricity production. This is the roadmap that we have had for government lobbying. We have tried very hard to convince government to invest in hydrogen. And since 2003, we have organized forums with the United States, Canada, and Mexico, trying to convince the Mexico government to implement hydrogen policies, but it hasn't been very easy. In 2007, we include hydrogen in the law. So at least in the law, it was allowed to use hydrogen, and it was not forced, but at least suggested to be hydrogen as one of the main energy vectors in Mexico. In 2012, we also used and issued a national hydrogen plan that it wasn't implemented, but at least it was approved by the upper chamber in the government. Now, in 2020, what we are doing is trying to do a Southeast hydrogen hub for transportation, including train and taxis for especially for these areas that are very common for traveling, we are trying to do this hub for hydrogen in these cases, and also for the electric power system, trying to introduce hydrogen during electricity generation. So as you can see, we have done in this hydrogen society a lot of things trying to implement hydrogen in our country, and I'm going to show you hydrogen in real numbers in Latin America and in Mexico. This is the map of Latin America. This is Mexico, and right now it is said that the region has a lot of potential for hydrogen production. You can see that the more red the region, the cost of hydrogen would be lower. So we are trying to reach that levels of hydrogen production to take advantage of that high high potential for hydrogen productions. Right now, the countries that are leading in Latin America are Chile, of course, this small country all over here, Chile, Costa Rica, a small country here in Central America, Brazil, that is over here, and they are leading because they have national regulations, hydrogen infrastructure. Also, they have hydrogen projects, and they are very interested in hydrogen mobility and hydrogen exporting. Right now, Chile is going to start production and maybe start exportation of hydrogen this or the next, or maybe the next year. In the case of Mexico, we have this chart that is comparing what is occurring in the rest of the world with Mexico. In these two different hydrogen, the captive hydrogen and the industry. In Mexico, we have this called captive because it is only produced by some sector, and that sector is going to produce and consume everything, right? So in Mexico, the 99% of hydrogen is captive, mostly due to the oil industry. They are using a lot of hydrogen, and they produce the hydrogen and consume the hydrogen. It is very different in the United States that mostly the half of the hydrogen is open to the industry, and in the rest of the world, around 86% of the hydrogen is captive, and 15 is free for the rest of the industry. In Mexico, we are producing around 210 kiloton of hydrogen per year. From this, 2.6 kiloton of hydrogen are being produced by other companies, and a little bit is open to exportations and importations. This is the global landscape for hydrogen in Mexico right now. But we have a lot of potential. This analysis is indicating that the potential for hydrogen in Mexico for wind production, the levelized cost of electricity is around $15 in some regions. You can see here and here, and those are the regions that have a lot of wind farms right now. And on the other hand, photovoltaic energy is mostly available in the north of the country, very close to the border with the United States. We also have this region that have some potential for electricity production, but mostly it is located in the north. With this combination of potential for hydrogen, we have this cost of production of hydrogen for 2015 that is around $1 per kilogram in this region. That is very low in comparison with the rest of the world. It's not the lowest, but it is very, very low. And also in all other regions, we have this cost of going from $1 to $1.2, $1.4 per kilogram of hydrogen. Also, some regions that have a higher cost, $2 over here. But in any case, this is very important to have that regions with higher or lower potential. With this all potential, we could have 22 terawatts of installed capacity for electrolysis. And in that case, of that all that potential could be used, it could represent 1,400 million tons of hydrogen per year, which is very high. When this is 20 times the world demand of hydrogen in 2020, which made this a very high potential for hydrogen production. But what we want hydrogen for? Well, of course, refinery, oil refinery. Differently from the rest of the world, Mexico is right now building a new refinery, so we are expecting to increase the production of refining products by not so much in this or the next year. I think this is something of the weird things that we have in Mexico, that instead of going in terms of lower oil production and consumption, we are getting higher. So this oil capacity is very high, and with this capacity, we are expected to have a higher demand for green hydrogen starting in 2030, like around here, and having a lot of demand for heating hydrogen in 2050. What we are expecting is that the price of hydrogen for gray and green hydrogen would reach around a point of equilibrium around 2035, which is going to be the year in that hydrogen is going to be used, especially green hydrogen is going to be used in this refinery process. The other use is in the metal industry that is very large in Mexico. For example, copper and steel are the main consumers of hydrogen. If all hydrogen could become green, that would be a demand of 800 kiloton of hydrogen per year. So that's very high. But also the price is not that good. We have the hydrogen, the normal hydrogen that is this green hydrogen. Sorry, here is in Spanish. That is that it has this curve, and the other coming from natural gas. And also, what we are expecting is that around 2045 we are having the shift to green hydrogen. The other very big company in Mexico is cement, that is also having a lot of hydrogen consumption for the furnaces. So in this case, we are also expecting a much lower production, but also a very still high for this hydrogen in Mexico. And the other big user of hydrogen would be mobility. Mobility is going to be one of the main factors for hydrogen. You can see here the energy cost for three different species. We have diesel, we have electricity, and we have hydrogen at this 35 bar. And in this case, the cost of hydrogen is higher right now, but it's going to expect to be lower and overpass the price of diesel, and in the future overpass the price of electricity. So in the future, hydrogen is going to be much cheaper than diesel and electricity. This TCO is the total cost of ownership for the public transportation, that indicates the price of the system. And in this case, you see that fuel cells in this case has a very high price. Also, electricity, electric vehicles, but in comparison to internal combustion engines in this grade curve. So you can see that around 2030, the cost of hydrogen would be lower, and this is one of the main projects that we want to extend transportation, because transportation is one of the main contributors to greenhouse gases generation in Mexico. Is the main generator of these gases, polluting gases. So we are expecting to have a very high impact on transportation, for public transportation, and also for heavy truck. Also for heavy truck, the equilibrium point is going to be before. So maybe transportation trucks using hydrogen is going to be one of the main applications of hydrogen in the near future in Mexico. So what would need, if the main disadvantage of hydrogen is the price, what can we do to diminish the price of these electrolyzers? So it is very easy to see what we can do to diminish the price of hydrogen. In this graph, you can see the price of hydrogen in US dollars per kilogram, and in function of the levelized cost of energy and the load factor. This levelized cost of energy, if we are using renewables, depends on the price of the renewable energy, depends on the technology, the incentives, and the financing of these renewable projects. In this, we as professors, as researchers, we cannot do much about this. No, we can do much. On the other hand, we have this load factor. That means the time that the project is utilized. Of course, if we have no utilization, we have very high price. But if we have higher utilization rates, we have lower price, as you can see. And lower cost of energy and high utilization time leads to the lower price of the hydrogen. On the other hand, if you have zero utilization factor and very high cost of electricity, we have the highest cost of hydrogen, right? Okay, so the other factor affecting this is the load factor that depends on the hydrogen demand. If you are able to produce hydrogen, but you are not consuming hydrogen, the hydrogen is going to be very expensive. It also depends on the maximum production and the source of the renewable energy. If you have constant renewable energy and constant energy production, you are going to have more utilization. But on the contrary, if your renewable energy is lower, you are going to have lower load factors. And the other factor that you have for price is the CapEx. That means the cost of the technology. And that cost of the technology depends on the engineering of the system, depends also on the scientific advances of the system and on the scaling of the system. So we, as engineers, as scientists, we have a very high impact on the cost of the electricity. And if we can change this, for example, if we change from 2050 US dollars per kilogram, if we change this to 250, you see how the price of the electrolyzer changes a lot. We've gone from this to this price. Very low, even if the energy is expensive, even if the load factor is low, you can get these prices that are very low. So the CapEx, the cost of the electrolyzer, is the main contributor to the price of hydrogen. So what can we do to improve electrolysis? This is going to be a very short, a few slides of some of the projects that we are working on, is how we can do to increase the efficiency of the electrolyzer, and what can we do to diminish the price of these electrolyzers. We should remember that this reaction, hydrogen to oxygen, is an uphill reaction. All of these steps includes an extra gives free energy for the production of these intermediates until the production of oxygen. So these reactions depends on the strength of the intermediates with this surface. If we can change the strength in which these intermediates react with the surface, we can change the rate at which these reactions and these bonds are breaking within the surface. And what we do in this case was to analyze this change by molecular simulations. We simply add some surface and analyze what were the changes on these molecules. We found that if we dope the surface with cobalt, for example, we have a very low absorption energy and but also a very high barrier for reaction that you can see in this line. And if you have iridium, we have a very high reaction, a very high absorption rate, and also a almost very new kinetic energy barrier. For the next reactions, we also can calculate this difference of energy, absorption energy, but also the kinetic energy. You can see the kinetic energy barrier. You can see that this barrier is much higher, but in some cases is lower, especially when it is doped with cobalt in some regions. But if the reaction is directly occurring over cobalt, the reaction, the kinetic barrier is much higher. But in this step, that is the formation of this intermediate, you see that we have very different activation barriers. One around 1.8 volts and one with a barrier about 1 electron volt. What is telling us this is that we can change the surface to make this barrier much lower. And in this case, just with a dopant. With this information, what we did is we need a material that absorbs water and all the intermediates with a absorption strength around this. But if the absorption is much lower, the reaction is not going to occur because the barrier for transformation is going to be higher. So what we did, we analyzed all these different materials, and we found that some of them, like platinum in here, and like all others, like this, like doping ruthenium with iridium or iridium with ruthenium, could lead to a very specific absorption energy that is going to be that is going to improve the barrier for the transformation of water into oxygen. So this was one of the main projects that we are still working on, trying to find ways to diminish the cost. Obviously, diminish the cost meaning having a higher amount of different metals and diminishing these activation barriers to have lower, a higher efficiency for the transformation of water into oxygen. So this is going to be one of the main topics for improving electrocatalysis at atomic level scale. The other thing that we have been working on too is about education of people. I don't know the specific case on Indonesia, but in Mexico hydrogen is actually very appealing. But also it's very appealing that people want to use hydrogen for some projects that they doesn't make sense. And what we are doing is trying to telling the people that in some projects, hydrogen doesn't have sense. For example, even in the government, the government say, okay, traditional cooking that in some regions of Mexico is very using because it's very tasteful, well, that's nice. But they say this is a very contaminant procedure. What we can do? Well, use hydrogen. Well, that's not a good idea. It's a no project because if we analyze the transformation of coal into heat, also you are producing carbon dioxide, but also the efficiency of transformation is very low. But if we change this heating source by hydrogen, what we would need would be to transform renewable energy into electricity, then this electricity into hydrogen, and this hydrogen into heat. That you have a lot of transformations that make this process very inefficient. And I mean, it doesn't make sense to use hydrogen for this application. Also, that would be a much better idea, would be to use direct sun energy to cooking. That would be the idea. So in this case, we use an index for the projects. And of course, if this project doesn't make sense, it's not economic, it is not technical, it's not efficient, maybe it has impact on the environment, but in general, the index for this project is no. We cannot rely in that project. This other project could be much better. If you have this forklift, you can use natural gas. Of course, we are transforming this in heat and then in power, right? If you use hydrogen, you are using this stage of transformation and you can reach hydrogen. But in this case, you must remember that these force fields are used mostly in the inner part of the factories. So having a source of hydrogen and a powered by hydrogen with no CO2 would be a much better idea. Also, direct electricity would be nice, but in this case, hydrogen has another advantages like the weight of the system, like the cost. And in this case, these kind of projects are very good because they have all of these good factors in this system. So this is very important for us because we need to tell the people that they need to invest on projects that are good, that they are not for everything. Hydrogen is going to be used just in specific situations that are better in terms of money and in terms of efficiency. The projects that are that are being constructed right now in Mexico are two. This is Los Cabos from this company HDF. Is going to be a solar park with 30 megawatts of energy. Is going to use this sun energy to transform it to hydrogen. This hydrogen is going to be stored, and this is going to be used with fuel cells to produce electricity. The idea is to have this system in construction by the next year, that is located here in Mexico, and the system is going to have electricity for 25,000. Here's a this is wrong. 25,000 households in this region, which is very important because in this region the electric power system is isolated. Is isolated and is more expensive electricity than in the rest of Mexico. And also it's going to avoid this amount of ton of CO2 per year. So it's going to be a good. The project is just going to be starting next year. So it's going to be one of the main landmarks for hydrogen production in Mexico. The other one is this project in Mexico Center, which is a power to gas that is going to use sun energy to transform it into hydrogen. Is located in this Guanajuato, Mexico, about 45 megawatts of renewable capacity, around 3.2 million tons of hydrogen production every year. But the main problem with this project is that it is not clear who is going to be buying hydrogen. So this is one of the main problems with hydrogen. If you don't have the user, it is very improbable to have a very real utilization of these systems. So hopefully these are going to be next year, but some of them are not very clear if they are going to work really and for the transition of energy in Mexico. So we have a very long road ahead to convince on the importance of hydrogen. And one of the main activities that we are doing to convince people in Mexico that hydrogen is important is this. This is our proposal for the World Hydrogen Energy Conference in Cancun, Mexico. That is going to be in 2024. And the conference is going to be organized by these two institutions, Tec Cancun, the Mexican National Society, and this Industrial Expo Hydrogen, Industrial and Business Opportunities, and the local organizers. We have in Cancun a lot of good experience. Expo and Business Opportunities is going to be open for everybody. We have a very, very high tradition of culture. This is the Mayan pyramids. We have long beaches. Maybe you in Indonesia, you have also very nice, good beaches, and a lot of cultural and sport activities. We have a very first level hotels and places to hold this event, and also the nature and adventure that we have, that also maybe you have that in Indonesia, but we are very proud to have this in the Americas. We have a lot of connecting flights with Mexico all around the world. Maybe Indonesia is not one of the direct connections because we are very far away. But at the end, we have also a very good tradition of good food that I hope we can share, and you can visit Mexico in 2024. So see you all in Mexico in 2024, and I hope in that time we have more hydrogen projects. We can get more collaboration projects. We can do exchange students, and we can work in the benefit of our countries. Thank you very much for your attention. That was my presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchez. It was a very nice and very interesting presentation for you to inform us about the progress of hydrogen and fuel cell technology in Mexico, and especially the last part, information about the 24th World of Hydrogen Conference that will be held in Mexico. Looking forward for our team to be there. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we will go to the next section. We will have the question and answer session will be held in the last part of the session. And for the next session, I would like to invite Professor Siti Khatum Komarudin. She is a director of Fuel Cells Institute, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, going to give us a talk about hydrogen energy roadmap in Malaysia. How are you, Professor Siti Khatum? Are you ready?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Dr. Oka Arjasa. Allow me to share my slide.
Yes.
First of all, I also would like to thank the Secretariat for inviting me, to Dr. Aznan as the head of research in BREEAM, Prof. Inia, I think the head, the president of IFHE, and she's not strange to us in UKM. I always meet her, and also Professor Jarud, also our academic advisor actually in Fuel Cell Institute, was our alumni also from UKM. Right, allow me to share my slide. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. The allocated time is the same, like 1 hour, so take your time, Professor Siti.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Dr. Oka. So maybe I change a little bit in terms of, because I also include some other material in my presentations, although firstly the topic was on hydrogen national energy policy, but also presenting some other information in Malaysia. So my topic today is hydrogen energy and fuel cell technology in Malaysia as an overview. So basically, as introduction, I think everyone knows the modern life using high technology devices contribute to two major problems, depending on end depletion of fossil fuel and also global warming. So as we can see, I'm just updating some of the new data on the world energy reserve. We can see that by 2081, there's a depletion, extremely depletion in our world energy reserves on coal, gas, and oil. But the world demand, it's indicated that the world demand will grow by 1/3 by 2040, and mostly rising by the consumption in transportation in China and India and parts of Asia. So this is some of the updates on the global emissions, CO2 emissions. data in 2022. So we can see that there's some increase. The figure shows that the global emissions increasing, both for fossil fuel industry and also land use change. By 2020, it looks like the emissions for fossil fuel is increasing by 91% compared to the 9% for land use. However, before this, the consumptions, the emissions for fossil fuel and also land use change is almost the same, about 50-50. So we can see a big difference in terms of industry emissions of CO2, which already by 91%. So this is global emission 1959 to 2022. This is the latest data. We can see that there's some increment, particularly some major countries like China, India, US, and also European Union, and the gray represent the rest of the world. So we can see a tremendously increment of CO2 emission lately. So this is the global emissions by sector. The chart shows total emission for each year between 2019 and 2022. Annual emission 2029, 2022, and 2021, and also estimate the total shown for 2022, which is in black color. So the color bar shows that changes in emission between each set of the years. We can see that like in China, they did increase by 0.05, and after 2021, they decreased by -0.1, because the negative shows the depletion, the reduce in the emissions. And also in India, before 2022, there's some depletion in terms of emission, maybe due to the pandemic. However, after 2020, there's some increment by 0.03 and also 0.02. So this is the trend that we can see changes in global emission recently. Right? Recovering from emission, we can see that the red color changes from 019 to 2022. We can see like the red color one we can see some increment tremendously in India, about 93%, and China 58.8%, and some reduction in the rest of the world by -1%, right? So this is some of the view that we can see the status of the emission currently in the world. So this is the emission updates. It's projected until 2022 globally. After dip in 2022 owing to the COVID pandemic, global carbon emissions rebounded, and then some researchers predicted a 1% increase in the worldwide emission in 2022. And here it seems India contributed strongly to that with a predicted increment 60% increase as compared to other countries. While we can see that EU and also Chinese showing a reduction for emission that is projected in 2022. So this is the annual greenhouse gas index in the world. So we can see there's a rapid increment that is from 1.45 in 2022 to 1.49 in 2021. So it's predicted that the index is going to increase year by year, as shown in the plots, as projected in the plots. So as the global greenhouse gas emission by sector, I think energy is producing the most. It's about 73.2% globally, which is used in buildings, transport, and also in industry, as compared to other sectors like in agriculture, forestry, land use. It's about 18.4%, and industries like chemicals and also cements is about 5.2%. As well for the waste, landfill and wastewater is about 3.2%. This shows the global emission by sector. We can see that electricity generation contribute to 36.4%, while the transportation contributes about the same, about 32%, as compared to other industries and also commercial and residential. So if we can break down the sectors into the field, right? For transportation, it includes road, aviation, and ship, while for electric generation is based on coal, natural gas, and oils. Okay, in terms of energy security and climate change, we can see that based on the COP21 Paris Agreement, the world is strengthening the response to keep the temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius. So one of the, it's predicted that, you can see that the prediction is that by 2080, if we can maintain the temperature of the world between 0.9 to 2.3 degrees Celsius, then you're going to have the CO2 sink. So you can see from the diagram, this is what predicted by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. If our temperature is keep on rising, so the carbon emission will increase rapidly over the years in future. So efforts have to be done in order to reduce the CO2 emissions, so that we can have the CO2 sink. So one of the way is either diversifying fuel resources with low zero emission energy, renewable energy like biomass, biofuel, solar energy, and wind energy, or alternative energy like hydrogen energy or nuclear energy. Because hydrogen energy is not a renewable, it's under alternative energy. And also focusing on developing green technology, including low zero emission and also clean energy technology. So global interest in hydrogen, as I think all the countries knows that the climate target of 1.5 degrees Celsius is sinking. Global CO2 emission increased by, you can see that increasing quite tremendously over the years. And active deployment of renewable energy along with CO2 reduction technology as well is needed, besides the clean technology. Hydrogen as a solution to meet climate goal, and over 30 countries with national hydrogen policy. Malaysia on hydrogen, I'm going to how Malaysia look into the hydrogen, the aspiration of Malaysia on hydrogen. I see that just now from the speaker, Dr. Ramos from Mexico, I think you have done very advanced in Mexico country. So, but we maybe in Malaysia, we have committed to some of the efforts in reducing hydrogen, and we are in the process of developing some policies and also some prototypes in order moving towards the implementation of hydrogen for commercialization. So, like other countries, Malaysia also committed to Paris Agreement, with reduction of 35% to 45% of GHG emissions by 2030. And also recent studies that relook at the introduction of hydrogen in Malaysia. We have also looking into the hydrogen prospect and the potential of Malaysia based on resources and facilities. So as we know that Malaysia, we are having on solar and also hydropower that maybe brings the advantage in producing hydrogen from renewable resources. So hydrogen fuels also focusing on hydrogen fuel cell transport system as the most popular topic currently in Malaysia, and using different pathway, natural gas to hydrogen, biomass to hydrogen, hydrogen as energy carrier, hydrogen for stationary power supply. So highlighted recently also on the new entrance of the industry players, and recently hydrogen was mentioned in 12 Malaysia plant. That really a great effort from the ministry in order to move forward to the agenda on clean renewable energy or CO2 emission reduction. And we also have recent studies on policy and recommendation, like hydrogen vision by 2060 as energy carrier, and hydrogen fuel cell legal framework adopting on qualitative studies. So this is the revolution energy related acts and policies in Malaysia. As we know that in Malaysia, we have started in petroleum since Act in 1974. Later, in national policy on environment in 2022, and after that was on the national biofuel policy in 2006. In 2009, we have launched a national green technology policy, followed by national policy on climate change in 2009, national renewable policy on action plan in 2010, and Renewable Energy Act. We have a Renewable Energy Act in 2011. Also together with Sustainable Energy Development Authority Act in 2011. In 2015, we have Malaysia have come out with National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, National Automotive Policy in 2020, which also adopting on renewable energy, a part of it. Besides the EV, they did also mention some section in the green energy. In 2021, nationally determined contribution, and recently in 2022, Malaysia have developed the national energy policy until 2024. Okay, so I'll be presenting a little bit on the content in the national energy policy. So basically, the national energy policy launched by our previous Prime Minister in 2022 gives the chapter 1 on the overview on the future development of energy sector. Chapter 2 outlines the key initiative of NEP, National Energy Policy, through low carbon national aspiration by 2040. So Malaysia aspiration is to become as low carbon nation aspiration by 2040. While chapter 3 describes the governance structure of NEP, and finally the conclusion and appendix also presented the plan strategies to achieve the LCNA by 2040. So the aim of our national energy policy is to increase new areas of energy related economic growth and employment created based on long-term competitive advantages. Also equitable and fair distributions of benefits and costs from the energy transition. acquisition of economic benefits and remaining global competitive by following energy transition trends, and also accessible to affordable energy, to become the leader of environmental, sustainable and green economics in Asia, continuous efficient use of energy and natural energy resources, and also contribute to fiscal sustainability and trade balance. So this is the aim of our NEP that is launched in 2022. The vision of our NEP is towards energy sustainability to achieve shared prosperity. So as mentioned, this is the vision. While the objective, we have basically, they have highlighted 4 objectives in the NEP. That is, the first one is optimizing energy resources to stimulate sustainable growth economics, which they have 3 strategy and also with 12 action plan, right? While the second one is to stimulate growth, targeting opportunity and cost advantage for economics and the people. So we can see that the second one is for social communities with 3 strategies and 8 action plan. The third one will be to increase the energy sector's contribution to the environment. So the contribution to the environment sustainability with 2 strategies and 4 action plan. While the last one, but not the least, ensuring the guarantee of energy supply for fiscal sustainability. So we can see that they highlighted for 4 sectors, the economics, the community, the environment, and also as the energy supply. So we can see that the main driver indicated, of course, in the successful of this national energy policy is on the governance, policy, financial, regulation and human capital, investment, technology, capability and infrastructure. So Malaysia are now currently, most of the agencies, the university and also the industry are moving towards this target. So, and also they already they highlighted, address 4 area in key economic growth activity for under this NEP, National Energy Policy, that is KEGA 5, to establish 12 activities including the gas trading market. Under KEGA 7, switch from low added value commodity to downstream product to generate higher returns and growth in new industry. Under KEGA 8 is the transport, logistics and also sustainable mobility, where they uses green technology. So this is where the hydrogens come in, low carbon and strategic traffic management solution, and establish of new economics enters in the field like aerospace, automotive and shipbuilding. So this is something that they are planning to move forward besides the transportation, also for other types of mobility, aerospace and also shipbuildings. Under KEGA 11, that is the renewable energy. So the use of new technology, providing pilot localities and offering renewable financing to drive the development of renewable energy sector. So here we can see that apparently in NEP, our new NEP, for short term, the target was only on providing pilot activities. So later I'll give some conclusion on the hydrogen technology, how it's presented in our NEP. So finally, in KEGA 12, under green economics, emphasize on low carbon activities, including green building, sustainable transport, circular economics. So this is the 5 focus area discussed in our new Malaysian energy plan policy. So the aspiration of the national energy policy, so we can see that they are looking into 9 main sectors for the short term, because they have divided the achievement based on three section that will be the first section, short term, medium, and also the long term. So on the first short term aspiration is presented on percentage of urban public mode sharing. Currently in 2018, it's 20%, and expected in order to reduce the CO2 emissions, they will increase the public transport sharing by 50% in 2040. Percentage of EV used, of course, now currently in Malaysia, we have very small, few numbers of EV used in Malaysia, so that is below than 1%. But this is expected to increase by 2040 to 38%. Alternative fuel standard for heavy vehicles. Now we are using mostly on B5, B5. Expecting in future 2040, we are going to adopt the B30. So this is what inspired in our NEP. Percentage of use of LNG as alternative fuel for marine apparently 0%, but now we are planning to increase to 25%. Energy efficiency saving by industry and commercial. So this is less than 1%. So expected, since in our objective is to improve the efficiency of the industry and energy saving for industry and also commercial, is expected to increase by 11% in 2040. Percentage of energy saving by residents. These points also is overlooked currently, but expected to have some initiative to improve this value to 10% by 2040. Total capacity of renewable energy installed. Currently, we have about 7.5 megawatt. 7,500 megawatt. So expected to increase to 18,000 megawatt by 2040. Percentage of coal in installed capacity. Currently, we have 31.4%. So the government plans to reduce the installation for coal capacity by 18.6%. So this is to reduce the CO2 emissions and dependent to the fossil fuel, and also the percentage of renewable energy. Currently, we have about 72%, expected to increase by 17% in 2040. So in terms of target energy mix, it's targeted that for bioenergy, that is bioenergy, the percentage is about 1% currently used as commercial in our country, Malaysia. Expected to increase by 4% by 2040. Solar energy, there's no any commercial solar energy available currently in Malaysia, so expected to increase by 4% in 2040. Hydro, we already have energy production from hydro, about 6%, increase to 9%. Oil, petroleum product, currently 30%, and we're expecting to reduce this number to 27% by 2040 in our NEP policy. While natural gas also having 41% and expected to reduce by 39%, and coal 22% expected to reduce by 17%. So this is the target mix that is given the guideline in our new energy policy. Okay, in terms of if we are looking into the hydrogen initiative in NEP, we can see that for the short term, most of the hydrogen initiative in NEP are laid in the action plan, that is in section B8, where it address as opportunity and long-term competitive advantage in the emerging hydrogen economies. So this means that currently Malaysia is moving towards, we are having developing on hydrogen research, establishing the hydrogen research activity, moving towards commercialization, pilot plants, but expected in future, so it will become emerging hydrogen economics. Hydrogen also listed in under Trust 2, under capture growth, market opportunity, and also cost advantage for the economics and people. This is under Trust 2. So where they're also looking into the cost of hydrogen, and quite interesting, this now Dr. Ramos just mentioned that the way to reduce the cost of the hydrogen, and quite impressive also in Mexican, they managed to reduce to the price at least below $2 USD per kilogram. That is very interesting. Hydrogen also is viewed as fuel of future for heavy transport segment in Action Plan B2, where opportunity from mobility trends in the heavy vehicle segment. And however, NEP positioned Malaysia as a competitive blue and green hydrogen exporter. So they planning to have an exporter and has a great potential use in domestic market. So this is the view and also initiative that is presented on hydrogen sector in our NEP. So the low carbon nation aspiration 2040 related to hydrogen technology, it emphasized that appropriate government incentive will be provided. So this is some of the motivation given to the hydrogen player to attract investment in low carbon technologies. Hydrogen energy also is one of the most potential, addressed as the one most potential area among the low carbon technologies. Hydrogen technology is not listed in the 9 selected target, as what I presented on the previous slide, compared by 2040. Although there are several initiatives, but we can see in our new energy policy, it's not listed in the 9 targeted area by 2040. It's only aimed to implement pilot market entry programs of hydrogen and also establish globally competitive hydrogen export hub in Malaysia, in Sarawak, that is in the 14 to 15 Malaysia plan 2023 to 2040, and also in long term effort, right? So this is how our national energy policy address the hydrogen related technologies. So however, we also have hydrogen energy roadmap in Malaysia that is from 2005 to 2030. So initially we have been working on hydrogen research in hydrogen production system. So like we in FuelCell have started on hydrogen, actually have started the hydrogen research since 1995. And also in 2007, there's a hydrogen demonstration system that is for the short term achievement. So later in 2009, further demonstration project, and also in 2015, enhancement of hydrogen technology and refueling. So this will be the medium planning, hydrogen refueling system, infrastructure and storage. And for the long-term planning is to have hydrogen technology cost reduced by 2025. So we are still working towards the targeted cost reduction by in 2025. And also in 2030, we're expecting that hydrogen will become as a competitive energy resources. So by this time, we're expecting the hydrogen ICE development project completed and network fully developed. So this is the framework for the commercialization of hydrogen technology. Okay, so we can see that also divided into several terms, near terms, medium terms, where initially was started with natural gas reforming, low GHG reforming, biomass gasification. Later, it moves towards bio-derived liquid microbial conversion, and also electrolysis by wind, electrolysis by solar, and also coal gasification. So for long term, we are moving towards high temperature electrolysis, PEC, photobiological, and solar pathway. So this is the time frame was predicted for commercialization of hydrogen technology. So we also have our hydrogen roadmap which was presented by Ministry of Energy and Water Communication in 2006. So similar like the previous one, only that they are putting details like on the years, also the achievement that is expected. So we can see that in 2015, so it's targeted to reduce by cost by 30%. 30%. However, although here we have presented previously, the target was in 2025. So we're expecting that in 2030, we can be the global hydrogen supplier in Malaysia. So this is improved, the roadmap improved by Academic Science of Malaysia in 2017. So where they have predicted the progress for hydrogen technology in Malaysia by 2050. So they have a medium term and short term ending at 2025, and also the medium starting from 2035. So we can see that expecting by 2050, Malaysia is expected to be the global hydrogen supplier. Not only on the hydrogen, also on other types of fuel cell like hydrogen, SOFC, powered PMFC powered bus, hydrogen refueling station, as well as hydrogen production and storage, including the hydrogen distribution system. So this is expected beyond the 2050 in Malaysia. Okay, so this is the position paper presented by Academic Science Malaysia on the proposal on including some of the effort in the Malaysian plan. Recently in 12 Malaysian plan, they already included hydrogen as a phase 1 on technology demonstration and solving technical issue. We're also proposing in 13 and 14 Malaysian plan to include the phase 2 and phase 3 of hydrogen technology by demonstrating the technology and market, mapping on supply and demand, as well as early adoption of hydrogen in the industry. Also, we have proposed, Academic Science Malaysia also proposed, expecting that in phase 4, there will be a full commercialization of hydrogen technology in 15 Malaysian plan until 18 Malaysian plan. So these are some of the proposal presented by the academics to the government. So we can see that this is some of the main players in energy technology in Malaysia. We have also contribution from the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation. We have contribution from the Ministry of Environment and Water. And we also as agency, active agencies like Nano Malaysia, Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change, and also academic institutional like UKM, UTP, UTM, UPM, UTHM, and UM, combining the effort from the giant industry in Malaysia like Sime-Darby, Petronas. We have from Sarawak Energy, we have from TNB, Linde Malaysia, Petroleum Sarawak, and Petros, and SEDC Energy also from Sarawak. So we believe that the combinations from the government, the institutional, and also the agencies as well, the industry, will give a good effort moving towards hydrogen energy in Malaysia. So this is some of networking that we have currently in Malaysia, working with also with international players and also with local players. So currently, I think nation's renewable resources, the one that recently pilot project in 2019, Sarawak Energy and also Sarawak Statement launched the Southeast Asia's first integrated hydrogen production plant, refueling station, fuel cell vehicle in Kuching, Sarawak. So this is our pioneer that on hydrogen production system and also fuel cell technology. We also in UKM and also MTSB, Malaysian Technical Standard Forum, and also Malaysian MCMC, Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, also both are working not only on the hydrogen technology, but also we are working on developing the technical code documents that related to hydrogen safety. Also not only on the hydrogen production system, but energy storage and the infrastructure. So we believe that besides the technology, the technical codes and in terms of safety is very, very critical. So we have started that in Malaysia. And we in UKM also have started several groups. We have several groups that not only working on hydrogen, but also in other types of fuel cell like PEM fuel cell. We have direct methanol fuel cell. We have solid oxide fuel cell. We have biohydrogen. We have also micro biofuel cell, and we have groups that working on the fundamental issues on developing fuel cell and also hydrogen technology. That is the main components is membrane and also catalyst. Besides that, we also in UKM working on electrolyzer. So this is some of our product that we have developed in the lab of UKM Fuel Cell Institute. Sorry, this one. Okay. This is the roadmap of UKM hydrogen R&D fuel cell. In our institute, we have started, as I mentioned earlier, we have started our research in 1994, and currently we have several products. In 2021, we have demonstrated a few pilot projects. So this is our renewable hydrogen production for PEM electrolyzer in UKM. We also have patented a joint patent with Riniaga Sabah Sdn Bhd. So this is our direct methanol fuel cell using methanol and to replace the battery, in our handphone charger. So this is another product of us on fuel cell motorcycle. So this is our fuel cell two-seaters buggy. You can see that Tun M, I think everyone knows Tun Mahathir Mohamad also visited our lab. Okay, so this is our joint venture with Sime Darby. Sime Darby also have invested in biohydrogen. Basically, as we know that palm oil waste is the major contribution in Malaysia. So they have projects in development in producing hydrogen from biomass. So this is our fuel cell for four-seaters buggy. And recently, we also have launched the 10 kilowatt fuel cell hybrid car. Okay. Besides that, to support our national energy policy, besides UKM, we can see that other entity also has have shown the support in directing to hydrogen technology. In 2020, Petronas also announced a net zero carbon emission by 2050, a commitment to sustainable that balance environment, social and governance. They also have a short-term and also medium and long-term strategies, where the short terms is hydrogen as decarbonization solution. So developing of the indigenous green hydrogen production technology with UKM and also Fuel Cell Institute. So we already started to collaborate with them since 2019. Now we are still ongoing, and their target is to commercialize the product by reducing the cost by 2025. So this is some of the achievement, some of the products that we have come out from this collaboration with UKM. So we also have UKM Petronas lab in our Fuel Cell Institute. So this is some of the outputs. So besides that, also in UTM, Amtech UTM developed a 5 kilowatt fuel cell system in collaboration with URDC for green technology. So they are working with UMW Toyota. So Malaysia in developing fuel cell technology. Okay, also in UTP, UTP also have patented several hydrogen production system by enhancing hydrogen production from biomass. So this is also some of the efforts to support the energy, the hydrogen energy policy in Malaysia. And recently in September 2022, Petronas officially also launches Gentari. I think everyone's did hear about that. EV leasing, so expected 25,000 unit of EV charging points in Asia Pacific by 2030. So this is for the EV charging points, Gentari. So besides that, Tenaga Malaysia, TNB Malaysia, Tenaga Nasional Berhad also have already put on their roadmap in supporting hydrogen technology. We can see that since 2019 to present, they are also moving towards hydrogen applications for carbon capture, utilization of technology benchmarking, and also expected in way forward to hydrogen application for energy storage and also hydrogen for portable power generation. So this is for our TNB, the vision from TNB in supporting the inspiration of hydrogen technology in Malaysia. So recently in October also TNB Electron EV launches a EV charging station in 2025. So they are planning to launch in 2025 to indicated hubs in partnership with Gamuda Land. So this is the commitment that given by TNB. Besides that, Nano Malaysia as an agency also have conducting some hydrogen onboard reactors for transportation. So and also they also having engagement for onboard hydrogen generation technology for aviation, for marine, and also for land use. So this is also another effort on reduction on the CO2 emission in Malaysia. So this is how it looks like on board hydrogen for also for drone and also agriculture, where they are using lightweight fuel cell by replacing the lithium-ion batteries. So this is some of the initiative from Nano Malaysia to promote the energy storage technology using a hyper race car and bike. This is some pictures for the Southeast Asia Malaysian first hydrogen refueling station from Kuching, Sarawak. So we can see they have a lot of commitments that they have presented by the Ministry of Sarawak, the head of Chief Ministry of Sarawak. Recently, they also launched 3 fuel cell buses, also refueling station, including fuel cell car and hydrogen electrolyzer under hydrogenate. So this is the car that they have launched a few years back. So this is also the commitment that they have given in developing fuel cell electric train. So this is still ongoing, where they already have a certain investment in developing about 11 billion in developing a fuel cell electric train, and also 48 billion in developing hydrogen production plant for 100 megawatt in Sarawak. And also the commitment of Project Hornbill to commence operation of 25 megawatt, shipment of green technology produced to Japan, INOS technology. So this is also another commitment from SEDC, Sarawak Energy, and also INOS under Hornbill project. So as conclusion to my talk today, based on the national energy policy in Malaysia and also efforts that we have nation have taken in moving towards the low carbon energy by 2040, we can see that hydrogen has a great future potential for Malaysia based on the domestic use and also export opportunity of their energy sources. Local resources like natural gas, renewable, that includes hydro, solar, and bioenergy gives Malaysia to the edge of lead the competitive production of blue and green hydrogen. So apparently, we are still focusing on hydro, solar, and bioenergy. However, we are also moving towards production of blue and also green hydrogen. One of the main technology focus area for Malaysia involved the identification and development of adoption technology related to production and transportation of green hydrogen. This is in line with the country's great potential in long term to become an export hub for green hydrogen based on the competitive advantages, especially involving the local hydropower. So because we are having advantage, particularly in Sarawak, so they have the local hydropower in order to develop the hydrogen production system. Technology sharing, of course, for international players also included through electrolysis technology, export terminal technology, and also hydrogen transport technology. The focus of sub-areas for hydrogen-related technology will be identified, such as reducing electrolysis capital costs and also increasing electrolysis conversion in efficiency. So this will be the main constraint that we have now for the commercialization of the electrolysis. Besides that, the determination of optimal modification method for long-distance transport with choice of carrier medium currently, such as ammonia, liquid hydrogen, liquid organic hydrogen, or metal hydride will be taken into account for export purposes. Technology to increase safety and reduce operational costs, such as terminal operating costs, are also important to increase the competitiveness of entire hydrogen value chain. So I think with that, I also like to promote from Fuel Cell Institute. Next year, we have 8 international conference on fuel cell and hydrogen technology, which is this is a collaboration with BRIM under Prof. Inia. So we have been several years with BRIM working together. Before this is PBBT, organizing the international conference every 2 years. So due to pandemic, we have a lapse of this conference last year, and we are planning to have one next year in 2023 in Putrajaya. So we welcome all the participants today to join the conference. With that, thank you. Back to you, Dr.
Thank you, Professor Siti, for a very interesting talk. All right, so we are, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the question and answer session right now. I have already some question here. I would like to invite Dr. Sanchez and also Professor Siti. Dr. Sanchez. All right, thank you. Okay, I have a question in the column chat here. I'm gonna read them one by one. I think this batch is for Dr. Sanchez. This batch of question. The first one is from Tami Absari. How's the strategy in Mexico to increase green hydrogen production? Yeah, Dr. Sanchez.
Okay. One of the main strategies in Mexico, I would say there are two strategies. The first one is building a touristic hub where renewable energy can be used along with hydrogen. That would be one of the best options because, as you know, the touristic attractions, the greener they are, the more attractive they are. So for Mexico, touristic hub could be a good idea in some of the specific locations where tourist is very high. The other one is related to electricity production. In Mexico, electricity production around the 50-60% is produced with natural gas in turbines. I mean, in combined cycles. So most of this natural gas is coming from the States, from the United States. We are not producing all the natural gas we need. So the idea, one of these ideas is to produce hydrogen directly in Mexico and use that hydrogen for producing electricity. I would say that those two actions could be the main drivers for increased hydrogen production in Mexico.
That satisfies Tami. Okay, the next question will be from Bobby. And I think the next from Benjamin is also kind of like a similar. So it's about hydrogen transportation and storage issue in Mexico. Is there any strategy to tackle that kind of issue?
Well, in the specific case of Mexico, we are not planning to have storage, long-term storage. We are planning to, for example, if we are going to use hydrogen in this touristic hub, we are planning to produce hydrogen directly on site to avoid mostly the transportation and the problems with the storage at the maximum, right? And also for the replacement of natural gas in this production of electricity, we are also planning to have production on site, not thus avoiding transportation and so on. In the future, that could be a big problem because we are also planning to have exports of hydrogen to the United States and also to Europe. But in that case, it would be more difficult. People is planning to have this ammonia, hydrogen to ammonia conversion. That could be the best idea for long-term and long-distance transport and storage. That could be for Mexico.
Continuation question related to the previous two. So, what is actually the main challenges for the implementation of the hydrogen technology? You already said about the production and also the storage and the transportation issue. So, what is exactly the main challenge there? Yep. What are the main challenge for the implementation?
Dr. Oka,
Yeah.
Whose question is that? Is it for Dr. Ramos or for me?
Yeah, for Dr. Ramos. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So it's continuation from the previous two.
I'm sorry. The main challenge for Mexico is incentivize not only production but consumption. We need to incentivize the consumption of hydrogen at large scale. If we are producing hydrogen, but nobody is buying it because it is expensive, or nobody is using it because it is expensive, or because it is dangerous, or any other reason, that's the main problem. We need to incentivize the consumption, either by electricity production, or by electrification in the transportation. And in this case, the main problems the main problems are going to be solved, because everything is like a change. The consumption is going to get the production, and it's going to diminish the prices, and everything is going to be working fine. But the consumption is the main problem in the case of Mexico.
All right, thank you very much. We have another question here, but I don't know who's this question directed to. If Tri Wahono could, write more up who's this question directed to, that will be helpful. Meanwhile, I have some question for Professor Siti. So, Professor Siti, with all of those strategy that you already mentioned to us up to 2040, and related with the energy mix and etc., the other strategy that you already told us, how much decrease in emission that Malaysia aim to achieve exactly? Thank you.
Actually, in our plan by 2040, we are expecting to reduce by 45%. So that will be the target. So we are expecting by 2060, maybe there's net zero emission of hydrogen. So this is our strategy. Although now we are moving towards, we are not as advanced as Mexico, but we are moving towards some of the strategy towards this. So expected by 45%, Dr. Oka, by 2040.
Yeah, thank you. 45%. Yeah, but because you shown us the slide, which also I also already know that the majority of the world emission is contributed from China and then USA, right? So exactly our contribution, Indonesia and Malaysia, is not that much. So 40% maybe, yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Okay, I will move on to the next question. To Professor Siti and Dr. Ramos. Oh, this is from Damisi. Professor Siti and Dr. Ramos. One of important thing from hydrogen technology implementation is material aspect. How about local resources in Malaysia and Mexico as raw material for hydrogen technology, either for production, storage, and transportation? So it's talking about asking about the local resources and related to material to be used in this hydrogen technology. So maybe Professor Siti can answer first.
Okay, in terms of material aspect, yes, when we are developing hydrogen, material aspect here is not, Dr. Oka, is that material resources, local resources, or material in terms of selection of material, right? If I understand the question.
Yes, I think it's about the
selection of local resources, but it's the material, right? So as we know, yes, in developing hydrogen technology or fuel cell system, so the main component that we have is the catalyst and the membrane. Apparently, as we know that we are using mostly on like in Malaysia, we don't have any local supply. So most of the supplies come from outside. We have from Japan, from China, we have from US. So the main constraint that we have, yes, I think the cost of commercialization of the hydrogen, and I agree with Dr. Ramos. The second will be the volume. So it's like chicken and egg. If you get the volume, then you can reduce the cost. But if you don't get the volume, you cannot. But in order to get the volume, of course, people expecting the cost will be reduced. So, however, one of the major component that we need to have is the local supply. Yeah, I understood. So you need to have local supply chains for all the components. Then you can have a mass production in the country as well, and the cost reduction will come to that. We also, in terms of research, yes, we are trying also to develop some replacement of the components like platinum membrane using some local resources. But apparently, in terms of the performance efficiency is still very low. We cannot compete with the current commercial component. So I understood. I agree that it's good to have local component. We need to have local supply chain, mass production, volume, and that will come to the cost reduction.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Ramos, what are your opinion on this?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Professor Siti. I agree completely on that matter. I think that material supply is one of the main issues, especially for fuel cells using platinum. I think that is one of the main problems, not only for Mexico, Malaysia, but for all the rest of the world, that we don't have platinum so much, right? And for electrolysis, that's the other question is that also PEM electrolysis uses ruthenium and iridium, that is also very scarce all around the world. So that is one of the main problems. So in Mexico, we have developed as well some very ambitious projects to shift from those noble metals to other less noble metals using different electrocatalysts, and also replacing that metals for carbon-based materials. But I think the improvement has been high in some cases, but still much work must be done to achieve the efficiency and the rates that are needed for massive production.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. So we back to the previous question from Wahono. I think I'm going to decide this to have both of you have opinion on this. The question is, what are the challenges going forward to solve the drawback of the hydrogen? In example, considered insecure, high cost, range of refueling issues, no existing infrastructure, no effective onboard storage. So, Professor Siti, what are your opinion on this?
What are the challenges going forward to solve the drawbacks? Actually, the one that he has, the person have listed is the problem, like the refueling issues, no existing. So,
yeah,
like in Malaysia, yes, like in Malaysia, yes, we are we are now moving towards EV. Actually, we have started to EV, and also in terms of hydrogen production, we have hydrogen productions on using electrolyzer. The way forward is that like charging for EV, yeah, maybe this is for hydrogen. So charging for EV, what we plan, our plan is that to increase the number of EV charging, starting from EV charging. However, in order to solve the challenges, yes, we are moving towards to increase, to plan to have a refueling station for hydrogen. However, the short term that we can do is to having a standby unit of hydrogen besides, because we don't have refueling, so you need to have standby unit of hydrogen. But again, if you're talking about the cost, as I mentioned earlier, that is the main challenges, where it's like chicken and egg. You have to have the volume that you're going to reduce your cost, or else the enforcement has to come from the government, by giving, maybe by subsidize, as we have already in the strategy of our national energy policy, that in future they are planning to give subsidies for the carbon capture and those things. So I think that is how I can answer for this question.
Thank you for your Professor Siti. Dr. Sanchez, what are your opinion on this?
Yes, thank you. I think that one of the main problems of our countries in general is that the dependence on technology or from abroad, from Mexico, from the United States, maybe from us is a big problem. And I think that not a challenge, but one of the main opportunities that we have is to start to believe in our own technology. The capability that we have to develop technology and use that technology for our own benefit. I think that if we believe in us and we have the capability to produce our own technology, we can make more than we are capable now. I think that is a very big opportunity for us as countries in our situation. And I think if we move forward in that direction, we could solve that problems of cost, the efficiency, technology, etc. that we have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanchez. I think one more question for Professor Siti. This is, I think, the last question for this session for today. I mean, you mentioned about the biomass gasification before, yeah. And the question is that how to maintain the sustainability of biomass stock to fit the biomass gasification.
Okay. Yes, I think the main constraint in biomass gasification is, of course, the stock. But here we in Malaysia, I think similar like Indonesia, we have the palm oil waste. So that will be our main contributors for the biomass for our biomass. However, we also now doing a lot of research, not only focusing on the palm oil waste, we are also focusing on the rice husk. Rice husk, we have a lot of stocks for rice husk. We have like corn starch. So these are also some of the research that is carried out by some, because in Malaysia, it's under Malaysian Palm Oil MPOB. Besides using the palm oil, also looking forward other types of biofuel that can be to sustain the production of gasification from biomass. So that is the reason why we can see that currently the production of bioenergy is still very less, but trying to increase by 2040 in Malaysia. Also for biodiesel, besides biohydrogen, we also have biodiesel. We can see that currently we are on B5% of biodiesel compared to the diesel, and moving towards 30% in 2040. So yes, the feedstock is very important, and Malaysia is still looking for other types of biomass resources as well to become the main stock for gasification product.
Thank you very much, Professor Siti Khatom-Komarudin, and also Dr. Guadalupe Ramos Sanchez for today's talk. I think this is the end of our fourth e-talk sessions. I would like also to thank all the participants who participate in this discussion. And also we have one lucky participants that will receive a souvenir from us. And the winner of this souvenir is Tri Wahono. So how do the procedure go? That Tri Wahono should contact us, or we will contact Tri Wahono?
Committee will contact.
Oh, the committee will contact Tri Wahono later on. Okay. Yep. Thank you, everyone, and I will return back to Dewi. Dewi.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Oka, for a very interesting session, and also very much to all speakers. And as our appreciation, we would like to award certificate of appreciation to our distinguished speakers. Firstly, for Dr. Guadalupe Ramos Sanchez, maybe committee can help us to share the certificate. Okay, and please, Dr. Ramos, to turn on your camera.
Thank you. Thank you. I can see the certificate. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramos. Very interesting presentation and discussion. Okay, and then the next for Professor Siti Kartom Komarudin, we would like to award the certificate, and thank you very much for your participation. Could the committee help us? Okay, Dr. Siti, could you turn on? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Siti. Okay, so the last for our moderator, Dr. Oka Pradipta Arjasa. Thank you very much for guide our discussion today. Okay, maybe you can give applause by using the Zoom facility. Well, now as the closing remarks, we would like to invite Professor Enia Listiani Dewi to give the speech. Masih okay. Prof. Enia, time is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, good night, everyone in several countries here. We are happy and delighted to have Professor Siti Kartom from Malaysia, and then Dr. Ramos from Mexico. I believe that this is a night for you, and we are also really happy to have your progressive report also from Malaysia, neighboring country, but there is many progressive activity that held in Malaysia also. And especially for Dr. Ramos, thanks to announce us about the World Hydrogen Energy Conference in 2024. We hope that many participants from Indonesia and also from Malaysia can join those World Hydrogen Energy Conference. It's such a huge conference, and then we can share many of the knowledge as you saw as we got here today. And for the participant, I also thanks to all member, the BRIN member, the National Research Institute, and the National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, and also several researcher from university, and also from I see the PLN and some of industry also join us today from several local industry and also automotive industry. And we have several announcements for you all also that well, firstly, we congratulate for the ICFCHT, International Conference of Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Technology, that will be held in Malaysia. I believe that Prof. Siti will host the ICFCHT. This is the annual meeting from our society here between Indonesia and Malaysia. And hopefully maybe from Mexico can join us also in 2023 in Malaysia. And I hope that researcher from Indonesia also can join the international conference in UKM, that hosted by UKM in the next year. And also in the next year, in the term of the industry perspective, our society will help the Hydrogen Summit in Indonesia, but mainly this is not really academician, but more in industry. So I think that Indonesia have a progressive action also to reduce the climate change, to reduce the carbon emission. And with the Hydrogen Summit, we will invite many industry from around the world to join the summit meeting. And hopefully Indonesia will have also the national hydrogen strategy that Professor Siti also mentioned. And then I'm also surprised with the presentation of Dr. Ramos that when Mexico gets the national hydrogen strategy, that you also talk to the parliament. This is really good action that we believe that we are here want to do it also, because now the hydrogen is more focused only on academicy, but we believe that the industry must use the hydrogen to reduce the emission. So I think I invite you all to join the Hydrogen Summit meeting in next year also in Indonesia. This is we're located at Jakarta. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hopefully we can meet again in another occasion. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And for the last things that I should mention about our sponsors member, we are really thanks to Pertamina, we are really thanks to Toyota Indonesia, Toyota Motor Manufacturing Indonesia, and also PT Kaskadian. This is a fuel cells industry in Indonesia, and several industry from the analysis system, PT ITS Science Indonesia, PT Dynatech, PT Era Mitra Perdana, and also PT Thermo Fisher Scientific Viralaba. Thank you so much. Thank you again for you. Hope God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Enia. So this is the end of our webinar. And maybe this is the last webinar in this year, but do not worry because we have many upcoming events and more interesting webinar series in 2023. So please stay updated with by following our Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube to know the latest news about our occasion. Once again, thank you for joining us and see you next year.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Energi menggerakkan kita